Good morning, I'm Jay Struberg, and this is your Early Rush.
I'll reemphasize in the strongest terms possible. This is an incredibly powerful storm, and we all need to take it seriously.
With Hurricane Milton's outer bands already being felt along Florida's Gulf Coast, every hour will now bring more danger to the state as the monster storm moves closer. A new book says former President Trump kept in regular contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin after leaving the White House, even while pressuring congressional Republicans to block military aid to Ukraine. Trump denies the allegations reported by journalist Bob Woodward, although he recently boasted of a very good relationship with Putin, an avowed U.S. adversary. 14 states are suing TikTok. They allege the popular social media app is designed to be addictive and keep minors on for hours with the endless scrolling. They also claim the so-called beauty filters can cause body image issues and other mental and physical health disorders for children. It's the end of an era for the Vegas Strip, at least part of it. After nearly 70 years, the Tropicana Hotel has been demolished. It happened just minutes ago. In its place, the new Oakland A's stadium is going to go there. All along Florida's west coast, time is running out. Hurricane Milton making its final approach. Already a massive storm, it could double in size. There was a dramatic shift in the storm's path overnight as it wobbled slightly to the south. That could provide some help for the highly populated Tampa Bay area, but make no mistake, the storm's fury will still be felt there and across much of Florida. The state bracing for massive storm surge, life-threatening flooding, and catastrophic damage. Authorities have issued mandatory evacuations for 11 counties with a combined population of nearly 6 million. Tampa is still near the bullseye of Milton's projected path, and the mayor issuing another strong warning to anyone who is thinking about staying behind to ride out the storm.
You want to pick a fight with Mother Nature, she's winning 100% of the time. And individuals that are in these, say you're in a single-story home, 12 feet is above that house. So if you're in it, basically that's the coffin that you're in.
Crews at Tampa's General Hospital are preparing to be open during the storm. They are once again setting up a flood barrier just weeks after Hurricane Helene struck. The fence can protect the building from storm surge up to 15 feet above sea level. The looming storm also forcing the closure of at least 3 major theme parks in Orlando, Florida. Disney World, Universal, and SeaWorld all set to shut down operations today. Orlando International Airport also preparing to close this morning. Cruise ships are also affected, with Carnival warning customers that ports in Tampa, Jacksonville, and Miami are likely to close, and some routes would be changed to avoid the storm. Milton's path could still wobble in either direction, as we said, so the next 6 hours will be critical. Right now, the storm expected to make landfall late tonight or early tomorrow morning. As senior meteorologist Scott Withers reports, the priority right now for a massive number of people along Florida's west coast is simply this: just get out of there.
Mandatory evacuations up and down Florida's Gulf Coast. Cars jamming Florida's highways night and day. Many not making the journey out of the hurricane zone, moving their RVs and cars to higher ground at this Target parking lot in Fort Myers. Milton whipping up winds and driving rain on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. An early example of what's heading towards the Sunshine State. NOAA's Hurricane Hunter planes flying back and forth through the eye wall. A bumpy road as 150-mile-per-hour winds toss the plane.
This storm is going to affect everybody.
It already is. Business owners in coastal Bradenton are boarding up. Massive lines for gas as Governor Ron DeSantis promises there's enough, but not everyone can find any.
Another place I was in line at earlier, and they ran out of gas while I was in line.
And there's still debris piles lining the roads along the beaches. Dump trucks working around the clock, moving it away from the shore, turning the county's fairgrounds into a new temporary landfill. At least for a few more days until Milton blows across the state and out into the Atlantic.
All right, thank you, Scott. He will join us to share the latest on the storm from St. Petersburg, Florida this morning. Our coverage starting at 7 a.m. on Morning Rush. As Milton continues moving toward Florida, Scripps News is expanding its disaster relief campaign to help all hurricane victims. If you would like to donate, scan the QR code on your screen and it'll take you right to our website, or you can text Scripps to 50155. As thousands prepare for Milton, disaster response is still ongoing in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Emergency officials are calling out misinformation they say is hurting efforts to help thousands in need. Disinformation Desk correspondent Katia Tubman has more.
In a rare and forceful declaration, two of North Carolina's leading newspapers attacked the false information surrounding Hurricane Helene. The deluge of false information is forcing FEMA to now add fact-checking to their disaster relief efforts.
FEMA does not take money, property, or donations from anyone for any reason.
The American Red Cross taking to social media saying misinformation is discouraging people from accessing resources they desperately need and distracting from ongoing response and recovery efforts. It began with former President Donald Trump on Truth Social, baselessly accusing FEMA of, quote, going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on X that the government can control the weather, implying that Democrats had created the hurricane. This post falsely claimed to show the FEMA director being beaten in North Carolina, but in fact it was a 2023 video outside a nightclub in Texas. Then there was this emotional picture, a fake image generated by AI that went viral, shared millions of times, including by Republican politicians. Multiple people stated they knew the image was fake, but did not care. One user saying, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." The false information is such an obstacle to relief efforts that many Republican politicians are pushing back.
There's a lot of misinformation.
One North Carolina state senator called for an end to, quote, this conspiracy theory junk. A Tennessee mayor and Trump supporter pleaded on X, please put aside the hate for a bit and pitch in to help. In a statement, U.S. Senator Tom Tillis said, the last thing that victims of Helene need right now is political posturing, finger pointing, or conspiracy theories that only hurt the response effort. Katia Tubman, Scripps News, New York.
Early voting begins today in Arizona, the first battleground state to open its polls ahead of Election Day. The start of in-person balloting is drawing intense attention from both presidential campaigns. The two vice presidential nominees, Republican J.D. Vance and Democrat Tim Walz, have events scheduled today in Tucson. Vice President Kamala Harris will hold a rally in the state tomorrow, and former President Donald Trump appears there on Sunday. Early voting starts next week in 4 more swing states: Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and North Carolina. Harris shared a beer and more than a few laughs at Trump's expense with late-night host Stephen Colbert as she wrapped up a string of high-profile media interviews. In an extended appearance on Colbert's show, Harris sharply criticized Trump over his relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin, as reported in that new book by journalist Bob Woodward. And she poked fun at the former president, labeling him with one of his least favorite words.
You lost millions of jobs. You lost manufacturing. You lost automotive plants. You lost the election. What does that make you? A loser.
Earlier yesterday on Howard Stern's radio show, Harris said Trump has, quote, the desire to be a dictator, and claimed he has been manipulated by Putin and other authoritarian leaders. Trump did not immediately respond to her comments. Scripps News anchor Maritza Giorgio has more on the Harris media blitz and other news from the campaign trail.
After answering some tough questions in an interview with 60 Minutes Monday night, Vice President Kamala Harris continued her media blitz in New York Tuesday. During an interview on The View, Harris was asked whether she would have done anything differently than President Biden over the course of their administration.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
The Trump campaign quickly seized on her answer, saying in a statement, quote, if you're a voter who wants to turn the page from Joe Biden's failed economy, open border, and global chaos, then Kamala Harris is not the candidate for you, end quote. Harris later said in the interview that she would appoint a Republican to her cabinet, something President Biden has not done. She also unveiled her plan to expand Medicare coverage for in-home health care. Harris continued her media tour with an interview on The Howard Stern Show before a taping of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, set to air Tuesday night. Former President Trump was scheduled to participate in a roundtable with Latino leaders at his resort in Miami and a virtual Make America Healthy Again town hall on Tuesday. Both events have been postponed as Hurricane Milton barrels toward Florida's west coast.
For change, and let's rebuild America first.
In Detroit, Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, falsely claimed that FEMA was redirecting emergency funds to house immigrants.
They ought to be moving money to the bucket that supports American citizens in the wake of these terrible storms.
While FEMA does have grants available to shelter migrants, that money is separate from emergency funds used for storm recovery. Maritza Giorgio, Scripps News.
Federal authorities say they have foiled an election day terrorist attack in support of ISIS. The FBI arresting a 27-year-old Afghan national Monday in Oklahoma on charges of conspiring and attempting to provide material support to ISIS. The man allegedly purchased rifles and ammunition from an undercover law enforcement officer, and prosecutors said he planned to, quote, stage a violent attack as Americans go to the polls on November 5th. He has lived in the U.S. since 2021 and was awaiting a court ruling on his immigration status. The Supreme Court signals its willingness to uphold a firearms regulation, and today hears an unusual appeal in a death penalty case. The latest from the High Court coming up.
1, 2, 3, pull down! I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team. This is how we'll do it! To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring.
There's gonna be trouble.
Are you silver? Let's have it.
Scared? You the law?
Oh, that's right.
I'll find you and I'll kill you.
Now all I need is a fresh horse, a saddle, and a gun.
You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now.
That's gotta hurt, huh?
You keep me coming back for more.
His identity, a mystery.
Who is he?
His sword, lightning fast.
I challenge you!
His name,
Zorro! Zorro!
Zorro!
Zorro. Tuesday starting 5/4 Central on Grid Extra.
Bounce elevates and celebrates the achievements of HBCUs all year long.
From the classroom to the field, we are making history.
Bounce HBCU Yearbook.
Welcome to the Race Weekend. I'm Joe St. George. It's time for our Inside the Race panel with our partners from Politico. There's a lot to talk about.
It's about reaching the voters.
This is so crucial.
There are a lot of people out there who are still undecided.
These are important issues that are resonating.
You can't just win, you gotta win big.
Any given day, anything can change.
Elections are about the future.
We're coming to you from the Scripps News studios in Washington, D.C.
The Race Weekend, Saturday at 9 a.m., 8 Central on Scripps News.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My boss is the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good.
What drew me to Court TV was this opportunity to combine the two things that I love. When I was in college, I studied television and radio, and then, of course, went to law school. And when I found out that Court TV was going to give me the opportunity to express myself and to share my love of the law, I was sold immediately.
The most important issue, innocence or guilt.
Started as a production assistant, then AP, and then went up the ranks, and really haven't looked back since.
Today at the Supreme Court, Oklahoma's Republican Attorney General argues to overturn a death penalty conviction obtained by his own office. Justice correspondent Jamal Andrus reports that the case could fundamentally change what it means to get a fair trial.
After more than 20 years on death row, Richard Glossop's fate is once again in the hands of the Supreme Court. this time with national implications that supporters say could impact many others besides him.
This case is not only about the death penalty or even only about Mr. Glossip.
Robin Marr is the executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center.
It's about ensuring that criminal prosecutions are not tainted by state misconduct. These are principles that apply to all criminal prosecutions and affect the integrity of the criminal justice system writ large.
Glossip was convicted in 1998 of arranging a murder-for-hire plot to kill his employer. Prosecutors alleged Glossip convinced another man to kill the owner of a motel in Oklahoma City. That man, Justin Sneed, testified against Glossip, providing the primary evidence for Glossip's conviction. But two independent investigations into the case and a stunning admission by the state's attorney general have called the conviction into question. In a court petition, the Oklahoma attorney general wrote, "The state's conviction of Glossip was obtained through false testimony, and it has made the difficult decision to confess error and support vacating the conviction of Richard Glossip." In what many believe to be a first at the Supreme Court, the Oklahoma Attorney General will be arguing against his own office's capital punishment conviction. Arguing for the death penalty to move forward will be an attorney appointed by the Supreme Court.
If you consider the fact that this is Oklahoma, a deeply conservative death penalty supporting state, I would dare say that in such a state, there's probably never been a state's attorney general who has done this before.
Don Knight is Richard Glossip's attorney and has been representing him for nearly 10 years. If the attorney general doesn't want this to move forward, why does the Supreme Court need to appoint someone rather than just kind of throwing this out?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. This is something that the court did of its own accord.
Since Glossip's conviction in 1998, he has had 3 execution dates set and has been served 3 last meals. The Supreme Court has considered his case 6 different times.
Rich has suffered that 9 separate times, having to face that idea that such and such a date is going to be the last day on this earth. That takes a toll, and it has taken a toll. Yeah.
Oral arguments are scheduled for Wednesday morning. Jamal Andrus, Scripps News.
All right, thank you, Jamal. Google could be broken up as the U.S. government weighs how to tackle its online search monopoly. In court documents filed Tuesday, the Justice Department suggested that it would seek structural remedies like forced product sales. That would prevent Google from using its Chrome browser, Android operating system, and Play App Store to dominate the search market unfairly. Other options are also under consideration. This comes a month after a judge ruled that Google violated antitrust laws and created an illegal monopoly. 2 Democratic lawmakers have sent a letter to some of the biggest food and beverage companies in the country demanding they stop engaging in so-called shrinkflation. That is when product sizes decrease but prices stay the same, or in some cases actually go up. It's a common way for companies to boost profits in a way that is not obvious to consumers. National correspondent Dan Grossman has more.
When you open a bag of chips, you expect some air, but some companies have been increasing that amount of air to drive profits. It's known as shrinkflation, and lawmakers accused 3 of the biggest companies of taking part in it in a letter sent on Monday. The 3 companies listed: PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, and General Mills.
Not only are these package reductions saving the companies a fortune, but they're costing consumers a fortune.
Take Doritos, for example, which is owned by Frito-Lay and thus PepsiCo. In 2021, their bags started carrying 5 fewer chips. It might not seem like much, but according to a Times Magazine analysis, the move saved Frito-Lay around $50 million each year. The letter accused General Mills of doing the same thing with Cocoa Puffs and Coca-Cola with its soft drinks.
Basically, it's a sneaky way to pass on a price increase. They know that consumers are price conscious, and they'll definitely notice if the good goes up in price. But if they take out a little bit from each package, they know consumers are not net weight conscious.
The letter goes on to claim the companies have furthered their profits by paying less in taxes. Quoting the Institute for Taxation and Economic Policy, a liberal think tank, the lawmakers say from 2018 to 2022, Coca-Cola made $13.4 billion while paying an average effective tax rate of 13.5%. General Mills made $12 billion while paying an average effective tax rate of 14.8%. And PepsiCo made $22.4 billion while paying an average effective tax rate of 15%. All the cited tax rates are lower than the 21% corporate tax rate that was reduced from 35% by President Trump in 2017.
You're never going to see, look, new, smaller size, a starburst on the package. As long as they put the net weight or net content on the box, on the bag, they're complying with federal law.
The responsibility is truly on the shoulders of consumers. You can no longer quickly run through a supermarket and just grab things off the shelf.
And experts say therein lies the solution, to look at the net weight to compare. So instead of grabbing one bag of chips because it's listed at a cheaper price, calculate the price per ounce or gram to ensure you're getting the best deal. Dan Grossman, Scripps News, Denver.
The Padres take on the Dodgers in Game 3 of their playoff series in baseball. We'll tell you how things turned out and talk to a Padres fan you will not soon forget. Keep it here on Early Rush.
Healthy Morning is sponsored by Oak Street Health, healthcare for older adults.
We want to understand the mindset behind your actions in this case. Tell me, why are you here?
She needed payback.
Payback with her life?
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. Did you see me? I laugh.
I don't want any of this. Are you not prepared today to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer, a Court TV original series. Premieres October 20th, only on Court TV.
It's really important for Scripps News reporters to live where they are reporting.
You're going to talk to people from all different backgrounds.
We do stories with people regardless of the political persuasions.
We're coming here as people, as your neighbors.
We know best what's happening in our communities.
And that's why I wake up every morning, is I hope I can deliver folks information so they can make an educated decision. I'm Forrest Saunders,
Ben Brown,
Jake Burns,
Rachel Louise Just,
Alex Miller, Scripps News.
Watch Scripps News, find with an antenna, or on your favorite streaming app.
What drew me to Court TV was this opportunity to combine the two things that I love. When I was in college, I studied television and radio, and then, of course, went to law school. And when I found out that Court TV was going to give me the opportunity to express myself and to share my love of the law, I was sold immediately.
The most important issue, innocence or guilt.
Started as a production assistant, then AP, and then went up the ranks, and really haven't looked back since.
Join the case that puts you in the middle of the mystery.
The answer's in front of us.
And keeps you guessing till the very end.
It's anyone's guess who's next.
Every twist, every turn.
Everything we need to find this guy is right here.
Eye on Mystery. Join the investigation.
You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now.
That's gotta hurt, huh? You keep me coming back for more.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My pa's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good.
Saturday night. First you moved in, you banned cigar smoke and kitchen nudity. Oscar Madison.
Just doing my daily yoga.
Felix Unger.
You're not exactly a guy's guy.
Why? Because I use coasters? I'm an accomplished photographer. Perfect, let's start shooting. And I can make a pair of tap shoes talk. What do you say, boys?
Together, they're the odd couple.
Here, hold that.
Oscar, is that coffee? I just cleaned the rug.
Better not move.
The Odd Couple. Saturday starting 7, 6 Central on Laugh More.
After a 7-year absence, Cheryl Reeves' Minnesota Lynx team is headed back to the finals.
The Minnesota Lynx will seek their 5th WNBA championship and their first since 2017 after a Game 5 semifinal win over the Connecticut Sun last night. Nafisa Collier scoring 27 points and Courtney Williams adding 24 as the Lynx beat the Sun 88-77 last night. The Lynx will face the top-seeded New York Liberty in the WNBA Finals, Game 1, tomorrow night in New York. Turning to Major League Baseball, the New York Mets combined explosive offense with shutdown pitching to cruise to a victory over the Philadelphia Phillies, 7-2 in New York last night. That puts them up 2-1 in that best-of-5 series with a chance to clinch at their home field tonight. A win would be special. The Mets have never had a clinching celebration at Citi Field since it opened in 2009. Stand there and watch it fly. Fernando Tatis Jr. putting a charge into the hometown San Diego fans as he delivered a towering 2-run blast to highlight the Padres' 6-run second inning against the Dodgers. That total held up as San Diego beat LA 6-5 to take Game 3 of their playoff series. The Padres now lead 2-1. One fan is taking special pleasure in San Diego's success this year. Marie Cornell with Scripps News San Diego spoke with a longtime Padres fan who says rooting for the team is about more than just about the game.
My kids all played ball. I have 7 kids. I guess that's why I got into the Padres.
Jerry Dodrell has been a Padres fan since the 1960s. The 93-year-old fondly remembers going to games at Jack Murphy Stadium and following the team to spring training and away games with her family and other members of the nonprofit organization that I've covered for years, the San Diego Madres. Over the decades, things have changed. The Padres logo, the colors, and even their home stadium. Jerry remembers being at Petco Park for the first game in 2004.
You had to look around and see everything that's there. A lot of food.
What hasn't changed over the years is her love for the Friars. Just ask her daughter, Mary Shanks.
Makes her happy, keeps her going. You know, she looks forward to the Padre seasons. And I hope this is the season that we get this series, World Series champion. We need it. San Diego deserves it.
So much so that Jerry made sure she wore her favorite Padres shirt during our visit, which reads, "Just one before I die." When we asked her what her expectations are for this Padres playoff push, her answer said it all.
I think we're going to the series, and I think we're going to win it. It's our year. They're very good players, and they play with heart, and they enjoy the game. That's important, that they like the game. Oh, it would be great. I would make them take me in a wheelchair down to the parade.
Early Rush continues after this break.